The reason we brought Now Plus One to speak and facilitate inside immersions at our conference is because we have such a disconnected, decentralized group. While they're all marketers, they all market different things in different ways. So we needed some sort of content that could connect to all of them. I wanted to get people out of the conference room because there's not any knowledge to be found in there. There's knowledge to be found outside. So we broke our group of 115 people down into 9 smaller groups, and we very intentionally crafted those groups to be people who didn't know each other, who didn't do similar things, so they could get to know each other and get to share each other's knowledge and insights.
I think this is awesome, honestly, kind of reversing that conference experience where we're going to be able to tell our story and what really kind of engaged us. It was super important and really just changes things up and keeps things fresh.
You know, right now we all think about digital and, you know, we're thinking about all of our different things, but like how can we really expand on that?
This is the best marketing exercise because it's real, because you're seeing locally what the need is, how people are meeting the need, how they're meeting it creatively, not by following what others have done, but by asking the questions. The question that was asked earlier, we came here and said, what does this town need? And there's no substitute for that.
This was a really great opportunity to explore an up-and-coming city, learn about some very unique and different businesses, and get an opportunity to step outside of our normal world and understand how you can interact with customers on very different levels, and to bring back inspiration and energy and enthusiasm towards wanting to create a great experience as part of the living environments that we nurture for our customers. We need to start thinking about the people that live inside and the people that work in the building and are really trying to connect with the community and create a sense of place that's just different. And this was a really interesting and exciting way to do that.
This was fun. We went to Pinewood Social, but we met with the owner-manager, and he talked a lot about how Pinewood Social was created as a third space. So, you know, it's a place to hang out, socialize, break the cycle of going from home to work, back to home. There was a bowling alley there. There was also an outdoor space with bocce court, dipping pools.
He actually spends $0 on marketing. Yelp calls him to advertise. He says, take me off Yelp. I don't do online reputation management. I don't do social media, occasionally on my Instagram or tweet. But he really was like, it's that experience and that first time when that person comes in, creating those relationships to have them come back.
One of the neat things that they did like at Pinewood Social is they went to a designer and said, we want you to do our light fixtures. And we don't care what the light fixtures look like, but just know that anyone who asks, we're going to tell them you did the light fixtures.
So this one is my favorite. It's Fort Houston, and it was absolutely killer. It's like a shop space for the creative. So you have a mechanical space, a wood space, a metal space, and a main space. But a lot of these people have regular jobs, but they don't have a space. So like they can rent a desk, or they can rent a workspace, or they can do team workspaces. And what was really cool is that they can collaborate with each other and gain jobs from each other. This is a connection that I will take with me. And I'm gonna see if I can get him to come and do some local woodworking stuff and some rotation of artwork from all of his vendors and showcase their work in our property.
Our first stop was at the Refinery, which is a collaborative workspace office venue that promotes opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs to come together and learn from one another. And one thing that really stood out was that they try to coordinate meetings and events and educational opportunities to really bring these businesses together.
One thing that stood out to me was that very similar to the way that we try to activate our amenity spaces to engage our residents not only with us but with each other and build that sense of community, and then of course in turn we hope that we're endeared to them. That was kind of their business model as well. They want to provide a really nurturing educational environment between multiple industries that are working out of this space so that they have the opportunity to learn and grow from one another. It's interesting to see a different industry doing the exact same thing that we do, but in different ways.
My
My experience at Peter Nappy today was pretty eye-opening to find that they made, Italian shoes, authentic Italian makers, part of their family. It was just really cool and neat to see. And then on top of it, the quality of everything, and then just the ambiance inside this building is just absolutely amazing. So I would say that if it wasn't for the ambiance, I might not get this, but they kind of sold me over. So yes, I would definitely say I could use this as part of my job in building websites that have this kind of ambiance or something like that.
Nashville's a really unique place. I think one of the things that makes it so special is the sense of community. In different cities like New York and LA, you see a lot of competitiveness. Almost you have to put people down to rise above. Here, it's more like the rising tide carries all boats, and people really embrace one another and try to help each other win, because what's good for one is really what's good for all here in Nashville.
So the second place that we went was Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. So they're a whiskey distillery. The thing that was really interesting is it opened 2 years ago, but it has over 100-year history. He noticed that there was this historic marker, and he went and found it, and he was like, why is my family's name on this historic marker? And this guy found out that his family was one of the largest contributors to creating Tennessee whiskey as a thing in the world. But you walk into this space and it is infused with over 100 years worth of story and history. They found a passion and they created a story around it, and it has so much gravity. It does not feel like something that's 2 years old. It feels like something that has been around for 100 years.
They were so much about the experience and creating that experience and that environment and atmosphere. And really just depending on the word of mouth of the people coming to visit them. And I think that that's where it kind of ties back to us, and what we're doing is creating that experience for people at our communities.
So I'm going to talk about Nisolo. Obviously, I fell in love, bought some shoes. One of the things about this company is they have this ethical background. They actually have somebody there that is in charge of their social impact. They have a social impact associate. So these shoes are all, made in Peru and as well as Mexico, and all of the, the products are there, and they're really concerned about the community and the producers and the artisans in these communities that they bring on to give jobs. And so they, are the leather and all the items that are made for these, these shoes are there, and they just really have a true, devotion and feeling in the heart of the community that these products are being made from. And that was really touching to me, so I definitely wanted to spend my dollars there.
But I think for this company, it's not really the product that gets people to buy, it's the story behind it. So the takeaway for me was really, just kind of thinking about, all the bad that's going on in this world, and doing something good to make a positive impact on someone else's life is very rewarding, and that's really what people are buying into.
As a whole, we see a group of consumers who are becoming much more aware of what's happening in the fashion industry. We also see a really exciting phenomenon as well as different industry standards are starting to come about. We see that through Fair Trade, B Corp, the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. I think in the next 5 years we'll probably even see a consumer-facing label, being able to tell consumers what the impact of their purchase is on society and the environment.
Immersion and Willie. So it was a really awesome denim store. So from the second that you walk in this space, it's kind of similar way we felt at the refinery. It's super creative, it's super funky, and you can tell that the entire business is just laced with love. One of the biggest points that the operations manager hit on was that you really need to have a story to tell. If you don't have a story to tell, then what are you really selling? What are you marketing? And it really loses meaning with people. And when people feel like something is meaningful, that's when it resonates, and that's when they're going to be more likely to believe in your brand along with you.
If the property has a story, and if they're involved in the community in some way, push that forward and bring that into the marketing campaign. Because an apartment's an apartment, but if you can have a story behind it, you're going to be more appealing to the general public.
I think one thing that he mentioned was that all of their associates are brand managers. And I think we need to really take that home and inspire our team members, even at the site level, to feel that way and be passionate about their brands.
With Ed Nash, it's not just an artist that's got a gallery that you can come and buy a painting and look at it and then they'll drop it off in your house. One of the things that was really cool about him is he actually will come bring 20 paintings to your house, hang them all, see which one you like, how does it look, do you need new lighting? Yeah, you know, what does that feel like in your space, and really create that whole 360 for you in your environment, which is really cool. And that's what they use to kind of sell their story and their differentiator.
That's kind of the reason why people move in here. And, you know, artists come in, restaurants are formed, bars open up. It becomes a fun place to come and travel and meet and go to restaurants, and it's a destination people come travel to. And so I think it's bringing, and then of course businesses move in too, and it's a great place to live, you know.
So we went to Butcher and Bee, and they wanted to kind of bring a different dining experience to Nashville. It's all communal dining, like sharing plates. So the way that the manager described it was, we can go to dinner with someone and really not communicate really well with them, that we can just sit there, order our food, and really not say anything. But he's noticed that with their restaurant, they have to decide and negotiate on which items to bring to the table. And that was really great. It really brought communication back to the dinner table.
We work in a really competitive market, and for all of our properties that are in really competitive markets, you may not be selling or handing someone like a flyer or like a brochure, but it's part of the sales experience, and it's part of someone's impression of you, and all of those things kind of lead to whether or not someone wants to engage with you or not. So I think let's make it a really exciting, interesting, and engaging experience when we can.
Crossroad Pets was, first of all, it's located in a very historical building that has been a funeral home and was most recently a tea shop. When you first walk in, you think it's just a pet store. You think it's just a boutique pet store, but it's really a nonprofit organization that works to help at-risk youth and adults as well that may be at risk for homelessness. So teaches them life skills, teaches them customer service, teaches them retail, teaches them how to groom animals. And the animals are brought in from the Humane Society, and they adopt out those animals. They want your heart to connect to the needs of that group of people, your heart to connect to those animals, to say, I'm going to come buy my pet food here instead of going to PetSmart, because I know that every penny that I spend here is going to go to help people. It's going to go to help animals.
I was absolutely fascinated by this company and their story. They design and build really expensive skateboards to sell to people who can afford really expensive skateboards for themselves, for their kids. Their employees are disadvantaged high school boys, I believe they were specific about that, in poor neighborhoods who were suffering from the pattern of generational poverty, who didn't understand the fact, or if they understood the fact that there were other options, had no idea how to even begin to have a career. They went to this location with an idea to make change, and they said, what do we need? And the location came back, the feedback was, we need after-school programs for these kids because the programs have been defunded and the community centers have been turned into senior centers. And so now they are doing select job training. They're focusing on the best and brightest. They're focusing on the kids who want to get out, who want a future for themselves.
How are we going out and to our neighborhoods and saying, let's create this partnership. What can I do for you? What can you do for me? Let's work together. So there's things like that again are just basics that I thought were simple takeaways from it.
For me, the big takeaway was we have a really great story with the social impact that we make. And it's been right in front of our face the entire 8 years that I've worked at Greystar. And I'm a little bit embarrassed and humiliated that I haven't taken the time to tell it. And that story is our community pillar. And we put a lot of energy and a lot of thought into our relationship with St. Jude, with Camp Hope. Not only that, but we have a great, internal program where we really support each other with, Greystar and giving through the Stars in Need, and then the college scholarship program. And so, this is directly affecting, our children, our next generation. And so that's really a story that, in my opinion, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I'm not telling it. But you'll be happy to know that I'm going to start.
The one thing that I hope anyone takes away from today, no matter what their experience level is there is learning opportunities all around you. You just have to pay attention. You have to open your eyes and open your ears and listen. And there's knowledge to be gained from the people and things around you that you can take back to your job and apply and create value for your company and for Greystar.